In this video, I'll show you one of the easiest ways to connect your workflow notes to AI and access all of that through your phone. So big picture, this is using Workflowy, which is my personal database. It's where I keep my notes. It's where I organize my thoughts, using that to hold all that information and then connecting it to a couple of other things that make this really special. So we're going to connect it to the Workflowy command line interface. And that is a special tool that allows Workflowy to talk to any large language model. So like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever. In this case, we're going to be connecting it to Codex, which is the other tool, and that's what's going to run the AI agent and is also going to provide us mobile access. Lastly, we have this piece, which is just a local folder, just a folder on our computer that's going to hold special instructions to let the agent know what we want it to do with the command line interface and how we want it to talk and organize our workflowing notes. So it's just those four pieces that are going to make this setup work really well. I've done this before previously, but I feel like this is honestly the easiest way to connect all those tools together, not just have it on your phone, but also have access to any local files that are not in Workflowy. So other documents, markdown files, backup files, Obsidian vaults, any other tool that you might use that is on your computer, you're going to be able to bring that stuff into Workflowy or move things from Workflowy to those other places. So it's really just kind of a one-stop shop for all your notes, with Workflowy being the database for everything. So that's the big picture. Now, why would we actually want to do this? For me, it's because it lets me use Workflowy as my database. I just can continue to keep using Workflowy like always. It's just going to add the power of AI to my notes. Like I said, let me access my local files and have this available on my phone. So if that sounds interesting to you, then this is the video you should watch. So now I'll show you how to set this up. It's super easy. It looks more complicated than it is. Just I wanted to break it down into the individual steps. The first thing we want to do is get a ChatGPT sub if you don't already have one. That is crucial. Previously, I was using another solution which used Craft Agents, and I was paying for tokens, and that's definitely one way to go. But honestly, in terms of the AI subscriptions available out there right now, ChatGPT is by far the most generous with the amount of AI usage you get. The alternative, like I said, is paying for the tokens. You can do that if you don't want to commit and just want to experiment. But honestly, I just use ChatGPT all the time for a bunch of other things. So I already kind of had it lying around. That's why I even experimented with it in Codex and stumbled upon this really good way to set it up. So just a recommendation. I'm not getting paid, obviously, by OpenAI to say that, but definitely worth considering. Next up, you want to install Codex. They recently just changed the name just yesterday. Now it's just called ChatGPT. The previous ChatGPT desktop app, I think, is now called ChatGPT Classic, something like that. So this is what we're looking for. And by the way, I'll have the links for everything, so it's just easy to follow the steps and download all the tools you need. So you Google Codex download, and then you download it for your computer, and then you install it. Next, you're going to want to create a local folder to hold instructions. If you're just going to use this on one single computer, it doesn't really matter where you put it. If you do want to use it across multiple computers, I recommend you put it somewhere that automatically syncs. So in a Dropbox, a folder, using Google Drive, in an iCloud folder, just so you don't have to manually move things around and everything just syncs up nicely. And the agent has access to the latest instructions. So it's just a folder that syncs if you have multiple computers, and it doesn't sync if you're only going to use it on one computer. Next, you'll add a markdown file called AGENTS.md. And this is a file that pretty much every single large language model looks for the first time they're exploring a folder, because that's where the instructions are for how to behave, what their job is, what they're going to do within this space for the user. I'll show you the one I'm using for this setup, but I'll also provide a template you can very easily adapt to your needs. That's also going to be in the video description. And here's that agents.md file. It's just organized by a couple of different sections. We've got context, just so the agent knows what in the world is this folder about, what is it for. It's I'm telling it that it's part of my Context Collab workspace for planning YouTube videos. We use Workflowy as the living source of truth, and the folder that it finds itself in holds instructions and optional private integration files. And then also I tell it a little bit about how it's going to connect to Workflowy using the Workflowy command line interface, the account that it's going to be looking for, because you can have multiple accounts. I'm using the personal one here. And then I've got a couple of special instructions like a startup routine. When I ask it to do the startup routine, this is what it does. It's going to read this file right here, and then it's going to start to do some things, some different commands on the command line interface. It's going to pull information from different sections of my account and then provide that output for me. So this is the way you can set up very easily all kinds of different routines or processes that you want the agent to assist you with, and that it has to do with your notes. Maybe it's pulling things from your notes and then formatting them some way, or pulling information from a different application and then bringing it into Workflowy without you having to explain absolutely everything every single time. You just write it once, explain it once, and then you ask the agent to do the thing. After that, we have the Workflowy map. What this is a directory of the most important parts of my account. So these are all bookmarks that I have in my account, and it just kind of briefly explains what this is about or how it's used or why this is important, so that before the agent even explores my Workflowy account, it already knows what the main areas we're going to use probably are. And that's going to save us a lot of time without it having to search across the entire account. I've also got some skills. So this is a very simple one that I set up. It's just like a brain dump mode, and I'll demo that at the end on the mobile version of the app. And then I also have a morning briefing. So this is something that I use every single day. It just kind of pulls information from various sections of my account. It's customized to the way I use Workflowy. It looks for specifically tagged items, and it also checks the log for previous days in case I maybe mention, oh, we're going to work on this sometime later in the week, and then I didn't get to it. The AI is not going to forget. I definitely will, but it's going to be able to remind me, and then I can decide what to do with that. So it's really nice, like having a personal assistant, because that's just kind of the way I use Workflowy to keep track of my work as well. And so why not have an agent watching over my shoulder in a very helpful way, not in a creepy way, and reminding me when I'm dropping the ball, or when I said I would look at something or work on something and then I completely forgot it, which totally does not happen. And then we've got a couple of other sections here, which are pretty important. These are all optional, but I find them pretty useful. So working style. If you don't set these, it's going to reply the way that the model likes to reply. And depending on which one you choose in Codex, that's going to vary a little bit. So if there's a particular way you want the agent to reply, like maybe you don't want it to reply in bullet points, you want it to reply in paragraphs, or to be very concise, don't give me a little fluff, just keep it really simple and straightforward. All that can go under a section which I call working style, but you can call it whatever you want as long as it's clear to the agent what this thing is supposed to indicate. And then lastly, we have a safety section. That's just because I want to make sure that the agent isn't accidentally moving things, deleting things without me telling it specifically, because it has access to all my notes, so it could mess something up. And so this is just a little bit of an added safeguard to make sure if it's going to delete something, like it asked me first, unless I said, delete this, that kind of a thing. And then this last section is just to make it a little bit easier when I share it with you. So you can tell your agent, hey, check out the AGENTS.md. It's going to do it anyway, automatically, but then you can give it instructions so it's actually going to work with however you like to organize your notes. This is all based on how I organize my stuff and the processes that I want to use, but yours is going to look very, very different. So one of the first things you're going to want to do after you set everything up is update this AGENTS.md so it connects to your account and it references all the things that you like, the way you want to use the agent with your notes, and it knows the important sections of your account. So once you've added that AGENTS.md file, you don't have to customize right now. The next thing you need to do is install the Workflowy command line interface, which is this guy right here. Link's going to be in the description as well. The only thing you need to do is figure out which operating system you're using. If it's Mac OS or Linux, just copy this one. If it's Windows, you copy this one. And then if it's Windows, you paste it into PowerShell. If it's Mac OS or Linux, you paste it into Terminal. It's going to find the right version, install it, and pull the files on your machine. Then you're going to want to run these three commands: wf login, wf cache sync, and wf doctor. This just walks you through the process of getting your Workflowy API key and then caching your account on your machine and then just checking to make sure everything is up and running. And you'll find your key at workflowy.com/API-key. You'll be able to copy it and then paste it into the terminal when the command line interface asks you for it. And that's pretty much it. Next, we're going to move over to Codex to open the folder where we've got the AGENTS.md file. And then lastly, we're going to connect the ChatGPT mobile app. And the last thing is explain your account to the agent. Once it's able to connect to your notes through the command line interface, you've added your key and it's synced your account, then the last thing is just tell it to go over the AGENTS.md file and then just kind of do like a brain dump of how you like to work inside of your account. What are the important parts for you? You could even paste the links in there. It'll be able to understand them as well. And then it'll create the bookmarks it needs to make it easy for you every single time you use the agent in Codex. So you don't have to explain to the agent every single time, my project folder should be in such and such place, or I've got multiple inboxes and I want you to put stuff in the first one and not the second one, or whatever it might be. So this last step is super, super important because, again, the AGENTS.md file I'm going to provide you with is for my setup, and it's going to have some useful instructions in there for how to communicate with you and all that. But with regards to which bookmarks are important for you, what their names are, and how the information kind of flows in your account, that's something you need to explain. You really only have to explain it once and then ask the agent to update the agents.md file. And that's it. The next time you talk to the agent, it'll know where everything is in your account. You can talk to it the way you would a personal assistant, and it's going to understand. And it's really cool, actually. So that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to demo it in the account. So give me just a moment. Very simple, short demo. We're going to create a new chat so you can see what it actually looks like. You'll be able to see that I don't have to explain anything. I don't have to repeat myself. The instructions for how to do the daily update are already available to the agent. It's going to scan my inbox, check the last available log, surface any recent decisions I took or anything I left hanging, and then provide all of that in one short brief, because that's the instructions that I've given it ahead of time. So here we are inside of Codex, or now called ChatGPT Work and ChatGPT Codex. Doesn't really matter which one you use. It's the same thing. The only thing you need to do is make sure you have the folder, the one that has the markdown file that we just went over, that's got the instructions and tells the agent how to connect to Workflowy. As long as that's selected, you just choose them all you want, and then you can say something like run the daily brief, and off it goes. So it's going to do its thing. It's going to pull current planning items from the personal Workflowy account, turn them into a short action first brief that's all coming from the instructions from the agents.md file. And then we just let it do its thing. We can scroll YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or whatever while we let it do its thing. And after 2 minutes and 27 seconds of doom scrolling, we get this final result. So start with the context collapse Workflowy plus Codex demo recording. It unlocked the planned Workflowy CLI cache work afterwards, which is correct. I've got to update the Workflowy CLI so it better supports multiple accounts. So I am recording the video, which is exactly what I'm doing right now first. I also have to pay a light bill and I have to study for an exam I have, which is true. I've got 3 days to study. I also need to work on this week's tech and productivity update, which is a video I'll be recording after this one. And I've got some stuff to do with another project, an iOS app for on-device transcription that is struggling with the Russian language and has to do with the way that Apple's API lacks proper Russian support, especially around punctuation. So yeah, able to pull all the information that needed from the different sources, use the instructions in agents.md, and then just provide the one single reply. That's the power of setting up the agents.md and connecting everything through Codex. Like I said, you could connect this through other means. This is just the easiest way because it brings in all the tools in one single place. So now I can just talk to the agent, or I can use my voice and reference all those different bookmark sections, and it's going to be able to do anything pretty much that I'd be able to do inside of my Workflowy account, but without me actually having to do it myself. So it's able to pull in information from, like I said, other sources, local sources. If I back things up to markdown files, I'd be able to do that automatically for me. I could set up a scheduled job like every week or every month to do that, or the other way around. If I have important documents that I want to end up inside of Workflowy in specific areas, I can set that up as well. And that is exactly what the second demo is about, scheduling a task. Not too much to explain. You schedule a task. The one that I have here is very relevant for me. That's what I actually use every single week to be able to put a video out on the latest tech and productivity items. It's constantly searching for relevant news items, and then I filter them, rewrite them with the use of AI, and then that's what I use to record. So what that actually looks like inside of Codex is this. There's a scheduled section. Click on that. It's got some, recommendations for what things you could do. This is what the one I actually use looks like. So if we open this up a little bit, let me just collapse this. You can see the instructions are pretty simple. It scans for news items, and then it tells it where to actually put the information, just all kinds of instructions for what it's looking for, the companies it's looking for, the kinds of news items, where it's supposed to go. I didn't write any of this, by the way. It was done by just, again, talking to AI and explaining what I wanted, what the expected end product was supposed to be. And then I asked it to write a scheduled job that is supposed to run every single morning. And that's what it did. And so now it works. And I just saved myself from having to scroll through a bunch of different news sites and productivity sites to figure out if there's anything worth talking about for the week. So that's just one very simple example, but one that I use every single day. And it saved me a ridiculous amount of time. So that's my example of a scheduled task. The way you actually create them in the new ChatGPT Codex app is right here at the top right. You click create and you have a conversation with AI, and then it turns it into actual proper instructions for itself to follow. And then you can tweak them from here from the scheduled tasks section. So it's pretty simple, but pretty powerful. if you want to save yourself a bunch of time trying to figure out like, what are those things that I do every single day that I could have an AI agent pull from my calendar, pull from my email. And because Codex is now slowly morphing into a work tool, not just a coding tool, got a bunch of additional plugins for other things like computer use. This one already had, but it's very useful. So even for things that don't have an API, there's really no simple way to access them, because ChatGPT through Codex can actually use your computer. It could open up applications that there is no other way to get information out of them or get information into them. So that's pretty cool. There's a bunch of different things you can now do if you decide to use Codex as the hub for all the information and the thing that kind of routes your notes into Workflowy and out of Workflowy. And lastly, I just want to show you how it all works through the mobile app. So here we are in ChatGPT. I'm going to open up the Codex option right here on the far left. And I've already got this open. This was another test of it. This time it only took 1 minute, probably using a different model, but it's the same kind of a thing. As you can see, we've got the same information, just organized in a slightly different way. And that's it. I can access the different threads. So if I go back, these are a bunch of different projects I've been working on. Right here is the context collapse project. The only thing in there is our AGENTS.md folder. And then we can just tap the little icon there to start a new conversation. And here you can see I've got it running on my Mac Mini. And I can just hit the talk button right here once we give it permission. And we can just kind of do our brain dump for the day or whatever. And the agent is going to be able to give structure to our notes, put them exactly where they're supposed to go. And it's just like a ridiculously nice way to work with notes. At least that's what I found. Previously with Craft Agents, it was fine. It worked pretty well, but especially when it comes to the mobile application, the way that they've set it up, it really puts the onus on the user to keep everything secure because it's connecting to Telegram, it's connecting to WhatsApp, and it works just fine. But there really is that additional level of, I wouldn't call it insecurity, but of care that you need to have when connecting all those pieces together, because ultimately you're connecting Telegram to your notes, to your computer. And so anyone that's able to get in between that is going to have access to your files, to your notes, to your computer. So it just felt like, why not just go with a solution that's already as secure as possible? It doesn't use a third-party application like WhatsApp or Telegram. It is the official ChatGPT application. So I would imagine they have a pretty decent security team. So I think I'm going to trust them with accessing my files that way. And it's just also ridiculously convenient. I don't even need to be near my computer. I have access to all my notes. I can use natural language to pull anything from any part of my account, add information any way I want. It's just really simplified my use of my notes and AI and combining them. This is the solution, at least for now, that feels like it's the most polished and has the most promise for pretty much anything you'd want to do, whether it's coding, whether it's office work, whether it's personal projects. And as long as Codex continues to add more plugins for very common things like Google Calendar, Google Docs, spreadsheets, a bunch of other things, it's going to become really a one-stop shop for putting all the context that you need within reach and also all your notes. So it's just like the perfect package for me. So that's what I wanted to show off in this video. Like I said, it seems more complicated than it actually is. The setup is honestly not that bad. Again, I'm going to add all the instructions in the video description, and I'm going to add the agents.md file that I personally use for my account. So you can just take that and tell your agent to modify it. And then that's it. Everything should work out pretty much the way I explained. There's nothing too complicated about it. If you do run into any issues, be sure to let me know in the comments. I will be replying if you have any suggestions or questions, or if you run into any issues. And that's it. That's pretty much all I wanted to show for the video. It's just very exciting to be able to use it this way, and I wanted to share it with everyone. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it and subscribe if you haven't already, so you can catch my next AI-powered notes experiment things as one does. So until then, I'll see you in the next one.